Susan and I are going to start a new series where we're truly going to bridge the gap between autistic and allistic or non-autistic communication and talk about the different sides. So, Sue, I know you brought this up in the past, how even just like relationships and how those relationships even begin through like conversation look very different. So share the autistic perspective and I'll try to share the neurodivergent perspective.
Well, I have found now I had the fortune to develop friendship with a neurologically typical person who had encephalitis that affected the brainstem. So now her brain worked like my brain. So we did a lot of this perspective taking. I would ask her, why do neurotypical people say or do this? And I would explain why from the autistic perspective and how we now both experience things the way. Now we look at things differently. So I know that, especially for me and every autistic I know, this hi, how are you business drives us bananas because we don't understand the point to it. It seems to be a routine that gets nowhere. I now know the reason because I've had this person explain to me that neurotypicals take things slow. And this is one of their keys of learning whether you're open for conversation. So, in other words, if I say, how are you? And you answer, I'm fine. Well, that's pretty a routine thing saying, yeah, I appreciate the fact that you acknowledged me, but that's the extent of what I'm open to doing. Now, if you answered, oh, I'm having a pretty good day. Oh, now you opened a door saying, I'm open to conversation if you want to really know how my day is going. Or if you say the opposite, okay. Oh, well, that still kind of opens the door. If you say anything other than the routine thing, you're opening a door for possible inviting them to learn more about how you feel or how your day is going. So there is a purpose behind these routine ways, the small talk. Why do we bother with small talk? Oh, autistics want to get right into meaningful things that are important to us, because if we're going to speak, that requires a lot of energy. And if and we don't want to waste our energy on small, meaningless talk about things that don't seem to mean anything. But for the neurotypical, they are cautious about exposing what they think could be taken advantage of or made fun of, or so they are careful. And again,
Mhm.
they're feeling each other out. This is why relationships with neurotypicals go slowly. They start with things that are not controversial. You don't dive right into politics and religion when you first meet somebody. No, because that could torpedo the
Oh,
relationship.
for sure.
So there are reasons behind, but to us, we don't know, and no one's ever explained the reason, because a lot of neurotypicals don't know why they do it. They just
No, it's
subconsciously
automatic.
they realize they pick up intuitively that this is a good thing to do, but
Hmm.
they can't explain it because they've never had to bring it to the language level and explain to somebody. But what we want from you is to explain. So there is this gap. There is a tremendous need for um, for each of us to try to explain the other person's perspective.
Hmm.
Um, and I've heard this said many times. Oh, they have no perspective taking. Autistics don't know how to see other people's perspectives. But excuse me, do they see our perspective? They don't even think we have a perspective. At least that's the response that I got.
Hmm.
So it's yeah, there is a tremendous need for this as far as social communication and understanding relationships. But this applies to how we learn, how we listen. I mean, if you go on it, these young people that talk a mile a minute, well, I have auditory processing. I can't process that fast. I can't even distinguish what sounds like a single word is really three words in a row, and I can't recognize that as one word, and then I'm totally lost because they don't slow down and pause enough between words that I can grasp it. But then they can't understand why, like, even this morning, Tara was telling me something and I missed the word not. So it totally changed the whole
Oh,
concept,
yeah.
a context. And I could not, well, why did you say that? That doesn't make any sense. There's so many examples like that of why communication between autistics and non-autistics can be very difficult for both concerned.
Yeah. And, going back to the whole relationship thing, we are very just kind of in tune. I know when I would definitely describe myself as an introvert. I don't love starting conversations. My husband's much better at that, especially when we're standing waiting outside my daughter's, school door and there's a bunch of parents, and if we have to start up a conversation, it's you because it's kind of awkward to just stand there sometimes. It's
Mm-hmm.
usually about the weather, or maybe,
Mm-hmm.
right now at the end of the school year, we talk about the end of the school year, and you kind of feel out like you make a comment and you kind of see like, oh, are they going to keep it going or does it kind of end? And if it ends, you're like, okay, they don't feel like talking. But we're in tune to that and we just know those rules. And you're right, we don't always talk about them. But this is really why we want to create this little branch off of our conversations, because especially for therapists or even parents, talking about these different kind of social rules, not saying one is right or wrong. How I always bring it up with my students is, hey, we might communicate differently. There's nothing wrong with the way you communicate. There's nothing wrong with the way I do. We might just kind of compare and talk about how maybe I'll shift it. Like when I meet with my autistic students, I never say, how are you? Even though like it's really hard because it's so like ingrained.
Automatic.
I never say it because I'm like, I know they don't want to answer that question.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've adjusted. So this conversation is going to be really important and we'll tap into more topics like this. So if you are autistic and you're like, why do non-autistic neurotypical people do this? Please make a comment, shoot us an email at info@makingsenseofautism.com, and we will touch on that topic. So we're excited to start this new vlog that is for autistic adults. So thanks for joining.